we've been conditioned to love the FBI. It started with that Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. show back in the 60s, the FBI in color. And, continues through today where you've got FBI shows of all kinds. And they're always the good guys, and they're always getting their man. So you're really up against it when you're saying things about the FBI like it's beyond all hope.
Well, the myth of competence that exists, and then just the love and adoration that I think a lot of law-abiding citizens have for the FBI, it stems from that show. If you go, the closing credits of the FBI say special thanks to J. Edgar Hoover and his associates for their propaganda.
Right.
This has been the image that FBI badge and emblem and logo is as recognizable as a Nike swoosh. And that has bode well for the FBI as far as public relations. But if you look at, particularly recently, the reputation is completely tarnished and trashed. And you just have to dig in, like I do basically every day when I'm not blocked from the DOJ's website, to what they actually do, and they depend on their reputation that precedes them, and they'll say, hey, look at this headline. Look, we got this big giant arrest, and then you read into paragraph 2, and it says, well, a local police officer did a traffic stop and happened to find a kilo of cocaine, and we adopted the case and didn't really do any investigative work.
So I'm assuming that you believe the FBI at one point was a useful agency, right? At some time and point, when did it go wrong, or has it always been?
I've sort of come around to the idea that it's always been wrong. It's always been about preserving status quo and going after who the political enemies were. And I think as a country, when it originated, J. Edgar Hoover was nothing if not an anti-communist. And I think that's probably an objectively good thing in this country for us to root out communism. But unfortunately, the communists are really good at seizing choke points, and they were able to infiltrate the organization itself. And that's why we've seen them, particularly recently, devolve their national security mission away from going after legitimate threat actors. And now they have this responsibility of rooting out terrorism here. But we're going to change the message of terrorism. It's not going to be people who subscribe to a foreign ideology that says we're going to engage in a violent activity to bring about political unrest and fear so that we can get the changes we want. Instead, we're going to say, well, it's a homegrown violent extremist, or a domestic violent extremist, or an anti-government, anti-authority violent extremist. And eventually now it's nihilistic violent extremist, someone who doesn't have any ideology at all, but we can find a vulnerable, emotionally disturbed person online to entrap and then go back to people with a press release that says, look, we just arrested a terrorist, America. Right. Meanwhile, at the same time, we're targeting people who want to bring about a reduction in government, because the goal of bureaucracy, the goal of government itself is to grow, to get more material and funding and capabilities. It's like Skynet. I've always used this analogy of Skynet in the movie Terminator is artificial intelligence, not good, not bad. It just is. And it comes to the conclusion that the people are the threat because they can unplug it. Well, it's the same thing as a government bureaucracy. The people can unplug an FBI. They can do away with it. They can reduce it. So the FBI changed and devolved its mission set in order to go after small government people. We got to the bottom of the slippery slope that all the Ron Paulites and libertarians cautioned us about on September 12th when they said, we got to pass this Patriot Act. And that wore itself out during the Biden administration. We were hoping that we're going to get Cash and Dan in there to course correct. But from what I'm reading and what I'm hearing on the inside, it's status quo, no real institutional changes.
That's amazing. You can't be a real popular guy with the current administration at the FBI right now. Are you experiencing? Like I've heard from Keith that you've been seeing some Cheryl Atkinson type things happening to your computer in the middle of the night, your phone turned on in the middle of the night.
I absolutely have, and I consulted with Cheryl this week because she's friendly to me, and she said that I need to get out ahead of this because I want to be memorializing the fact that a couple nights ago, my phone on silent, do not disturb, all apps closed down on a charger, alerted me and my wife when it started playing the placeholder video for my podcast. That was the next day at full blast. And then, lo and behold, the next day, all my access to the Justice Department, www.justice.gov's websites, access denied. And then actually last night, my phone started to chirp and woke us both up. So I want to be on record that if there's any sort of remote shenanigans that are happening with my devices, that's not because I have any incriminating material that I put on.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'm glad you're saying that because God knows what they're going to plant on there. Oh my gosh.
What does the chirping mean? You just that somebody has accessed your phone remotely? Do you know what the chirping sound was? Do you know what caused it?
It's providentially, I happened to wake up this morning at 2:42 a.m. and was looking at the clock, and around 2:44 is when I heard the chirping sound alert from my phone, and I just happened to be awake. So I know I wasn't in a dead sleep dreaming it because my wife actually said, "What was that?" And when we both woke up from it.
Was it a sound you've ever heard before coming from your phone?
No, never heard it before, and wouldn't have heard a sound out of the phone, seeing as how it was on Do Not Disturb and silence. So very strange.
Wow, yeah.
And I mean, I can't 100% say anything, but when I could not access any links for any Department of Justice press releases over the last 2 days, start to pile up the evidence. We'll say that there's a preponderance of evidence that's starting to mount here that there is something afoot.